what keeps you attached to the objects is the thought that they're real. I was reading that
Yes,
in the book. Siddhar Rameshwar says that. He says what keeps us attached is the idea we accept that they are real. But once you
yes,
see that those are not real, then there is not the attachment to it.
exactly. And once you know yourself in a real sense, those objects that are appearing cannot be real. Because you're this formless sense of presence in which all of this is appearing and disappearing. How can you attach to form when you know yourself as formless? Form and formlessness, they don't, you can't ever meet. How? You know? Like this bottle can never meet or merge with the space. It can't because it's an object as a formlessness. It can't do that. So all of these things, you know yourself in a real sense, and it's just not true. How do you know it's not true? Because this body, that you are not body, you were not body, you're not going to remain the body, all the body knowledge and the body-based experiences were occurring inside the illusion of being the body that you are not. So they can all be discarded. Because without this body, you're not having any experiences.
You know, what's an experience without an experiencer?
Yeah, you need the concept of I'm a body in a world to have an experience. And the illusion of experience is created through the belief in I am a body, as well as the concept of separation. The only way you can even remotely have a concept of being a separate something is having a belief in a body, like the walls in a room. The walls here are separating the air in this body from the air in that body. But even that's not true because you breathe in and breathe out, and everybody's breathing the same air. But when it's in my body, I call it my air. But when I breathe it out, then it's everybody's air until you breathe it in and you call it your air.
Concept of mind is an illusory concept.
Yeah. Well, the mind stops once you know yourself in a real sense. There's no, because it can't, what can it do? It would be like if you were seeing everything in color and the mind was showing you images in black and white. It would be such a difference that it would be like, what are you doing? You know, it doesn't, to whom is this thought? This thought is for this body, but there's no identification with body. So this thought just passes through. Maybe there are thoughts somewhere, but they don't seem to be. They're certainly not paid attention to, unless they're like practical thoughts, like we talked about. Use a calculator to figure out how many apples I can get for $5 on sale or whatever. That is the practical use of the mind. But there's no mind that's saying like, oh, you better do this, or oh, you must do this. That's not there because who's this one that's doing what's never done because there is no doer? So the mind that's telling you you better do something, and yet the knowingness is there is no doer, there is no deed. So how can that deed be impressed on you? It occurred inside the formlessness that you are, and it may have appeared true due to belief in body having an experience, but it's absolutely false. It's illusion. And that's the easiest way, like you were talking about before, about TV and the news and all this kind of stuff. The easiest way to be out of it is just to know that you, without this body, would not be having any of this experience. So all of these experiences are because of the belief that you're a body, which you are not. And just that will keep the mind kind of, it reels it back in because you're not adding to concepts. The very first concept is, I exist. Well, yes, you exist, but the knowingness of existence creates the illusion of duality because now I know I exist. And there has to be, automatically, then there's an I and there's a, you start counting one, this is me, and then there are others. But this is not true.
I do wonder though why when say the mind stops and you're no longer identifying with its activities, why it why it ends up being a pleasant, potentially blissful experience.
Because you're not being bothered with all this flow of thoughts and identification. And
Why
imagine,
why pleasant rather than just totally neutral or nothing at all?
well, because you're the source of this joy, this peace, this bliss, this happiness, this fountain of. When you're not disturbing yourself, you're in absolute bliss. Without bliss is not an attribute. It's just this. It's a. I don't know.
It just is what it is. Kind of.
Yeah, and the only way you're not doing is because all these thoughts are coming in, and you're creating this idea of a thinker identified with this body and how these thoughts affect me, and this me that I am, and how these thoughts are to be used, or what is happening with these thoughts, and you get so caught up. And remember, the very first basic concept is I am. Okay, this I am, if you allow this presence to become an object of awareness, then everything else is an object that's appearing on the presence and can be discarded. Your subtle I, just I, just I. All this is just coming and going and doing its thing. And without identification, it's literally just scenes, as if you're channel surfing. You know, I'm sure people have done that before. You channel surf. You watch like 5 minutes of a TV show. You're not involved. You're not attached. You channel surf to another one. Watch maybe 5 or 10 minutes, even if it's very exciting. Okay, then you channel surf. That's the same thing. It's just scenes. In the moment, you do what needs to be done, and it's movement is occurring, and then you're out, and the scene's gone, and there's no impression of a timeline. Because there's no you in that timeline.
Because when Nisargadatta says, or somebody might ask him, then what are you? What is it like? I think sometimes he says it's, I am, I'm not sure if he says it exactly this way. I am the bliss in unchanging presence or what, something to that effect.
Mm.
But that when he's saying that, he's referring to what it's like to be without a body, it seems. So I mean, that's just an interpretation by me, but
well, you're without a body, but you still have a body as an instrument. You can't get rid of this body. I mean, it's here. You know what I'm saying? You know that you're not this body, but you're holding this body. And that's why you have to take care of this body, just like you would your car or any other instrument, so that it performs for you and does these things. But at the same time, like just the other day, I was at the heart doctor, and they're laying down and putting this thing on my chest and all that. And I could hear the beating. And there was, even that was no kind of like, oh, that's my heart. It's like there's a heart beating. There was not even an identification with this beating heart. That's, you know, in the machine, you can hear it go boosh, 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 boosh. And it was just, there's a heart beating. There wasn't even a pull of that's my heart.
Your awareness is like totally detached in a sense, you could say.
It's just because even speaking, there's speaking and listening, but there's only one doing all of it. You know, there's no, it's like...
Another thing that Nisargadatta says that makes me wonder, and I suppose this could still be awareness of a subtle. I'm sure his awareness is to become more subtle as he's been free of identification and all this. But he's once or twice I read where he said that somebody asked him about deep sleep, and he said that he's aware even in deep sleep.
Yes, because he's not a separate body form that's aware in deep sleep. There is awareness because there has to be, like you're aware, all these states are appearing on that awareness. It's not so much that you're aware of yourself in deep sleep. There is no self to be aware of. It's simply awareness in which the states of dream, waking, deep sleep, and all those things appear.
So is he saying that by implication, or that, or is
Because
it
you
a fact?
know, no, you know yourself in a real sense. You're absolutely formless. All these experiences are occurring. They're all illusory experiences. This awareness of the presence and these states that appear on it are all in the illusion. They're totally not anything to do with you. This is just, you could say, like Maharaj has said before, I think, who it was, Alex, who told Maharaj, he asked him about sleeping, and Maharaj says, I don't sleep. And Alex said, now, wait a minute. We were just on this little journey together to this ashram, and I saw you sleeping. He's like, no, but I don't sleep. This body may close its eyes and all this sort of stuff, but this I that I am never sleeps because it doesn't have this experience.
So that's, but that is also nothing.
Well, that's yourself. I mean, the
So,
nothing that's everything. The nothing in which all this everything has appeared for a time will disappear, and then the something will go back to nothing. But it's always nothing.
that
It's
makes
just
it
the
sound like,
appearance of
makes it sound
something.
like this, makes it sound like the nothing is something.
No, there's the appearance of something within the nothing. In other words, this is the example, knock, knock on the door. Who's there? Nobody's there. But somebody had to be there to say nobody is there. There had to be something to which this sense of presence or this I exist feeling appeared. If there was nothing, then there would be no appearance of I exist because there would be nothing to whom that would appear or to what that would appear.
But
So
that's
knock,
not,
knock on the door, nobody's there, or somebody's there. Or when you go in and we count the people that go across the river, they use this example too, and they count the 10 monks, and each one is counting, and they go, oh my God, we lost someone, they drowned. And they're sitting and they're having a nice funeral, and this sage comes up and he says, what are you doing? Oh, we lost one of our friends. We were 10 men and one drowned. And he goes and he gives each one a smack, and they realize there's 10 people because you forgot to count yourself. But you're always there. Otherwise, there can be no counting.